Hey there, I'm Brielle Anderson, a 35-year-old middle school teacher, and I've got a story that might just make your jaw drop. Picture this, I'm standing in the kitchen of my modest two-bedroom house, the one I poured my heart and savings into with my ex-husband Tom. It wasn't much, but it was ours, or so I thought. I can't believe we're still living in this dump, Tom muttered one evening. His words stung the same way they always did. Tom, we talked about this. We're building our future, remember? I tried to keep my voice steady, but the familiar tension was building inside me. He scoffed. Future? What future? We're stuck in a rut, Belle. Look at Marcus. He's living the high life while we're scraping by. We're doing just fine, I countered, refusing to give in to his negativity. Fine? You call teaching a bunch of snot-nosed brats for peanuts fine? He sneered, and I felt my cheeks flush with anger. Those brats are my students, and I love my job. I shot back, my voice cracking slightly. Tom barely glanced up from his phone. Yeah, well, your job isn't going to get us out of this shoebox. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. It was my sister, Zoe. Hey sis, everything okay? Her voice was laced with concern. I glanced at Tom, who was still engrossed in his phone. Yeah, just the usual. Tom being a jerk again. You know you don't have to put up with that, right? Zoe's words lingered long after we hung up, but I pushed them aside, hoping that somehow things would get better. Later that week, I was having coffee with my best friend and fellow teacher, Elena, when she dropped a bombshell. Bri, I saw Tom having lunch with Marcus yesterday. They were talking about selling the house. What? That's impossible. He wouldn't. But even as I said it, a sinking feeling settled in my chest. He would, and he did. That night, Tom walked in with a smug smile. That news, babe. I'm selling my half of the house. You're what? I felt like the floor was falling out from under me. It's time I moved on to bigger and better things, he said, not even bothering to look at me. You can buy me out if you want, but we both know you can't afford it on a teacher's salary. I stood there, speechless, as he brushed past me to pack his things. The next day at school, I was a wreck. Jack, our principal, noticed right away. Brielle, is everything all right? He asked, his voice gentle. I couldn't hold it in any longer. Tears spilled down my cheeks as I told him everything. I'm so sorry, Jack said, handing me a tissue. If there's anything I can do to help. I shook my head, trying to regain my composure. Thanks, Jack. I don't know how I'm going to keep the house. As I walked back to my classroom, I overheard two students whispering. Did you hear? Miss Anderson's husband left her. My mom says they're getting divorced. My heart sank. Now even my students knew. 6 months after the divorce, I was drowning in bills. My kitchen table was a sea of overdue notices and budget spreadsheets. I had taken on so many extra tutoring gigs that I barely had time to breathe. Another late night? Elena asked, poking her head into my classroom one evening. I nodded, rubbing my eyes. Third this week, but these math tests won't grade themselves. You can't keep this up, Bri. You're going to burn out. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Zoe again. Hey sis, I've got an idea. Why don't you start an online tutoring thing? You're already doing it. Might as well make it official. I laughed tiredly. Right, because I have so much free time. I'm serious. You're amazing at breaking down complex stuff. People would pay for that. After we hung up, her words kept replaying in my head. Maybe Zoe was onto something. The next day, I approached Jack in the teacher's lounge. An online education platform. That's brilliant, Belle, he said, his excitement catching me off guard. What are you going to call it? Bright minds, I replied, surprised by my own conviction. I'm thinking of starting with math and science courses. Jack's eyes lit up. I could promote it through our school network, give it some credibility right off the bat. For the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. Weeks passed, and Bright Minds slowly gained traction. Elena had become my unofficial assistant, helping me manage the growing workload. Look at this, Bre, she squealed one afternoon, pointing at my laptop. You've got students signing up from 3 different states, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. Technical glitches, negative reviews, and my own relentless self-doubt became constant companions. One evening, as I was leaving the grocery store, I ran into Marcus. Well, it isn't the teacher turned. What exactly? He smirked. I straightened my spine. I'm running an online education platform. Marcus laughed, a condescending sound that echoed in the parking lot. Oh, honey, leave the business to the big boys. Stick to what you know, finger painting and ABCs. He turned away, but I overheard him on the phone as he walked off. Yeah, Tom, you won't believe who I just saw. Your ex is trying to play entrepreneur. It's pathetic. I felt my cheeks burn with a mix of anger and humiliation. But beneath that was something else. Determination. That night, I threw myself into improving Bright Minds. I redesigned courses, reached out to other teachers for collaborations, and spent countless hours perfecting my teaching modules. Weeks turned into months, and Bright Minds slowly gained traction. Then, out of the blue, I received an email that made my heart skip a beat. Miss Anderson, we represent EduTech Innovations. We've been following Bright Minds' progress and are interested in discussing a potential partnership. I read the email to Zoe over the phone, my voice trembling. Holy smoke, Bri, this is huge, she exclaimed. I hesitated, fear creeping into my voice. But what if I'm in over my head? What if they realize I'm just a middle school teacher playing pretend? Zoe's voice softened. Hey, stop that. You're not playing anything. You built this from scratch while juggling a full-time job. You're the real deal, sis. The next day, I sat across from two suit-clad executives, trying to look more confident than I felt. So, Miss Anderson, talk us through your vision for Bright Minds, one of them said, leaning forward. I took a deep breath, knowing this was my moment. As I began to speak, I felt something shift inside me. Maybe, just maybe, I was onto something big. And no one, not Tom, not Marcus, not even my own doubts, was going to stand in my way. 2 years flew by in a whirlwind of success. Bright Minds had exploded, and suddenly, I found myself in board meetings instead of classrooms. My bank account had more zeros than I ever imagined. Miss Anderson, your net worth has officially crossed into 7 figures, my financial advisor announced one day. I nearly choked on my coffee. I'm sorry, did you say 7 figures? She nodded, smiling. Congratulations, Brielle. You're a millionaire. The first thing I did, I bought out Tom's half of our old house. The realtor looked at me oddly when I insisted on keeping it. You could afford a mansion now, Miss Anderson, she said. I just smiled. This place has history. But that didn't stop me from making a few updates. A new kitchen, an expanded home office. But I made sure to keep the same cozy feel. Elena visited once the renovations were done. Bri, this is gorgeous. But why aren't you shouting your success from the rooftops? I shrugged. I'm still me, Elle, just with a better savings account. Instead of splurging, I started a scholarship program for kids who reminded me of my younger self. Watching their faces light up when they realized college was possible, well, that was worth more than any luxury car. Then, like a bad penny, Tom showed up in town. Word spread quickly that he'd blown through his money on some half-baked schemes. Apparently, he'd gone crawling back to Marcus. I ran into Marcus again at the grocery store, but this time the tables had turned. He looked tired, worn down by life. Hey, Marcus, everything okay? I asked, genuinely concerned. He sighed deeply. Mark, it's been rough, and now Tom's back, looking for handouts, as if I'm not stretched thin already. I felt a twinge of sympathy, but before I could respond, my phone buzzed, another meeting about expanding Bright Minds into Europe. A week later, I was weeding my front garden when a familiar voice made me freeze. Well, still playing in the dirt, I see. I looked up to find Tom standing there, trying to appear casual. I could see the desperation in his eyes. Tom, this is unexpected. He shifted awkwardly. I've been doing some thinking, Bri. I messed up, big time. I never should have left. I raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah. He hesitated, then gestured toward the house. I miss us. I miss this place, he said, though his eyes wandered over the familiar walls. Looks like you haven't changed much. Still living the simple life, huh? I bit back a smile. If only he knew. It's what I can afford on a teacher's salary, I said neutrally. Tom nodded, a glint of calculation in his eyes. Right? Hey, why don't we grab dinner for old time's sake? I could tell you about some business opportunities I've been looking into. I nearly laughed out loud. Same old Tom, always angling for an opportunity. I appreciate the offer, Tom, but I'm pretty busy these days. Lots of papers to grade, you know how it is. He looked around, clearly trying to find a way to keep the conversation going. Come on, Bri, don't tell me you're still mad about the whole house thing. Water under the bridge, right? We were good together once. I took a deep breath. Tom, just then, my phone rang with the Bright Minds ringtone. Sorry, I have to take this. It was interesting seeing you, Tom. As I turned to head inside, I caught a glimpse of his face, confusion, frustration, and a hint of that old arrogance. He thought he had me figured out. Little did he know, I wasn't the same Brielle he'd left behind, and I had no intention of letting him back into my life. But for now, I let him think I was still struggling. Something told me this wasn't the last I'd see of Tom. Over the next few weeks, Tom seemed to turn up everywhere. The grocery store, my favorite coffee shop, even outside the school. Rumors started flying about our supposed rekindled romance. I called an emergency meeting with Zoe and Elena. He's like a bad rash that won't go away, I groaned. Zoe's eyes gleamed with mischief. I've got an idea. Let's give him exactly what he wants, and then some. We hatched a plan. I'd invite Tom to the upcoming charity gala for my scholarship program, letting him think he'd won me over. The night of the gala arrived, and Tom showed up in a rented tux, oozing fake charm. You look stunning, Bri, he whispered, leaning in to kiss my cheek. I smiled tightly. Thanks, let's find our seats. As dinner wound down, Jack took the stage. And now, it's my honor to introduce our keynote speaker and the founder of Bright Minds, Brielle Anderson. Tom's jaw dropped as I walked to the podium. I delivered my speech announcing a major expansion of the scholarship program. When I returned to our table, Tom was fuming. What the hell, Bri? Why didn't you tell me? Before I could respond, Marcus appeared, looking desperate. Tom, buddy, I heard you were back in town. Listen, I got this amazing investment opportunity. Tom brushed him off. Not now, Marcus, can't you see I'm with my girlfriend? I stood up, holding my head high. Actually, Tom, I'm not your girlfriend. I never was, not since you walked out on me 2 years ago. The room fell silent. But I supported you. I always believed in you, Tom sputtered. Marcus snorted. That's rich. You told me her business was pathetic just last week. I turned to Tom, my voice steady. It's over, Tom. It has been for a long time. Please leave. That night, standing in my renovated home, I couldn't help but smile. The journey hadn't been easy, but I wouldn't change a thing. Bright Minds was going global, and I was ready for whatever came next. My past with Tom was just a distant memory, a reminder of how far I'd come. The story of Brielle and Tom has come to an end. Now, I've got a question for you. If you were in Brielle's shoes at that charity gala, would you have publicly exposed Tom's true intentions, or would you have handled it privately to avoid the drama? What do you think is the right way to deal with someone who tries to take advantage of your success? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective might just help someone facing a similar situation. If you enjoyed this story of resilience and sweet justice, don't forget to hit that like button. And why not subscribe for more compelling stories that'll keep you on the edge of your seat? Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching.